Hi, Rob with Shop Prop Realty. Going to talk real quickly about investing in rentals, specifically investing in residential single family condominiums or townhomes. There's a variety of different ways to invest in real estate, and I've done almost all of them. But let's talk about those specific things because that's what mainly our clients are putting their money into. So, first thing that you're going to do is define your investment strategy. And what I mean by that is that how do I want to invest in these rentals? Do I want to invest with the idea that I'm going to invest in a good location? I may not get the same rent multiplier that I'll get investing in a location that might not be as desirable, right? In other words, if I invest in an area that's not as desirable, I may be able to get, I will be able to get a higher rent compared to the investment that I put in versus going into an area that is maybe a preferred location or a higher desirable area to live in, and I'll end up paying a higher price for that property in comparison to the rent that I'm getting, which means that I might be, if I'm not putting enough money down, I may not be getting enough rent even to cover my mortgage payment if I'm obviously buying it with a mortgage. For example, I just bought a property in Redmond on Lake Sammamish that I had to put 50% down just to break even. I could have made that same investment in another area and I might only had to put 20% or 25%, for example, if I was investing in an area that's not as desirable. So that's the first thing you're going to do. Next thing you're going to do is try to find an area that you want to invest in once you've established that. Okay, this is my location. And what I usually do is I set a budget. This is how much I'm going to invest. And then if I can't find anything in that preferred location, I'll start expanding my search out. And I'll expand my search out until I find an area that meets that kind of criteria. All right, I want a single family. I want to spend $800,000 and this is the location I want to be in, and I'll expand it. Once you've found a property, it's pretty simple to rent out a property. And like I said, in most situations, you're not going to need to hire a property manager. So the first thing you're going to do is obviously prepare for rent. Some people, like I often will, buy a property, fix it up, then rent it out to get the highest rent that I possibly can for that particular property. But some people just do minor repairs. Either one works out pretty well, but obviously you're going to need to do the repairs and make sure the home is ready for renting. Take your pictures, start the listing, advertise, ideally the MLS, just because it gets you the max exposure. And even though we don't manage properties, we can list your property in the MLS. Next thing you're going to do is, when you do that, is announce an open house date. Instead of having to show the property every day, if it's listed in the MLS, other agents will be able to show it as well. But you're going to want to show it too, especially if you decide to not list in the MLS. Even though Zillow, at least my experience, has been horrible for selling homes, it's not bad for renting. So you could put it in that rental environment and then schedule an open house, let potential tenants come see the property, provide them with an application. They'll make application. I then usually will I'll start screening the tenants on my own, just from a standpoint looking at jobs, looking at what they put down as far as how long they've been at their job and so forth. Then what you're going to want to do when you pick those tenants that are the top 2 or the top 3 tenants that you want to do, you'll want to screen those tenants further by putting them into like tenantverification.com. But that's the one that I typically use, but there's a variety of verification companies that you can use that will provide background, police, credit scores, and so forth that you'll want to look through. Then once you do that, then you'll pick your tenant. You'll get a lease agreement together. If you don't have one, you can find one online, or again, reach out to us. We can provide one for you. And if you're listing in the MLS, obviously we charge a small portion for that. If you're listing in the MLS, we'll provide the lease as well. Then obviously you have the lease in place. You're then going to go ahead and do the check-in, When you do the check-in, you're going to have a move-in checklist similar to doing anything else. Renting a car, you're going to check that tenant in. You're going to go around with them and show them the property and so forth. Hand them the keys to the property. At the end of the lease, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to check them out of the property with that move-in checklist that you used to go ahead and check in case there's any damage and so forth. If there's no damage, return their deposit back to them. That's it. You've had a successful rental. Rent it out again. Hope this helps.